Hey everybody. Me and my team, we're all consumers. And from a consumer standpoint, the running shoe is stagnant. It's lacking innovation and imagination. But we've created an idea that's going to change the game. It's going to give the running shoe a new edge, and for the company that buys our license, it's going to give them a huge step above all their competition. Jeff's going to tell us why.
So from our research, the main bane of marathon runners and athletes the world over is foot blisters. And those are caused by moisture and heat within the shoe during extended periods of exercise. And these blisters mean the difference between breaking the tape and failing to finish. So our technology is ensuring that the shoe stays nice and dry and cool during extended periods of exercise. So a little bit more about that from the rest of our team.
Yeah, ACES is our air circulation enhancement system. What that is, think of it as an air hockey plane on the shoe sole itself. It'll provide air to the whole area of the bottom of the shoe through the pump coming at the very top. That's going to be our intake valve so that puddles are not a problem for you. And each time you make a step, it will provide that breath of air, if you will.
Okay. My name is Justin Droy. I'm going to introduce the rest of our group. So we have here Zane Fisher. He's our general management specialist, so he's got supervisory experience, and he's going to make sure his company is streamlined as possible. We have Jeff Stevenson, who is also our marketing specialist, who has experience with that, as well as he was actually the one who came with our idea, and he's very passionate about the idea. We have Jessica Yu, who is a mother in the group, as well as has Nike connections and other footwear experts, and she keeps us focused and on track. We have Jackson Sinclair over there in the far right. He is our sports and recs major. He spends every day, all day, figuring out what's the best, how to train us the best, and he has the best ideas and what makes the difference. Myself, I'm Justin Droy, I'm an aviation management major. I spend my time figuring out the logistics and how everything's going to work and finding suppliers and how we can make this best. Then we have Ev Saberkin over here, who is our criminal justice major, who spearheads the patenting and the logistics and the law side, and making sure that our product is our product and no one else can take it.
As you can see, our foot flap, they have nearly 250,000 sweat glands and can produce over half a pint of sweat each day. So I wanted to talk to you about our current goals. First, we want to create a working prototype, have it patented, and then license the rights to a major shoe manufacturer such as Nike or Adidas. Our team is passionate about ensuring that runners and athletes have the ability to reach their full potential as a direct result of our air circulation enhancement system. With the help of investors, we can ensure that ACE's running shoe becomes the soul of footwear industry.
People are always going to die, and they're always going to need shoes. So it's a good business to be in. Makes sense. Guys, is this a concept? Did we sit down together and say, this is a cool idea to pump air through a shoe? What stage are we at with this thing? Is it a PowerPoint deck I'm looking at right now, or where are you at in the actual process of defining, creating, engineering, manufacturing, all that kind of thing?
It's still in the idea phase, actually. My brother is a materials engineer. He is trying to help me come up with it. He actually came up with the idea of putting the diaphragm in it.
Okay.
But yeah, so we do have connections in the prototype industry. We're trying to get one made right now, but it's still just in the idea phase for sure.
I guess it sounds novel. I don't know if you've done any research about it. The technology I can understand and the value to the athlete, could be quite compelling. The problem with these licensing models is that you little guy have to deal with Nike, Adidas, big guy. Those are terrible outcomes.
Yeah.
The hurdles to get something like that there are almost Everest, like barefoot. It really, really is challenging. So you can think of other ways that if those don't work, how you could actually get to market with this thing, with the brand, with the product. It might be a better way to do it. Because I've talked to a few inventors who've come up with revolutionary things, in hockey and other things, and the boot manufacturers just would not talk to them. and they snuffed them out of business instantly. So that's a very big hurdle you have to be mindful of.
Can I address that? Just like the one, our plan was to pit one against the other. From talking with one of our other judges, they were saying Adidas has on their wall beat Nike. So if we could, from my experience, I used to work at Coke and Pepsi for a long time, and it was the same thing with new beverages coming in. It was very, very hard to get the attention of the companies. So the plan that a lot of them did was trying to play one against the other, in that this is the newest technology. If you don't want it, the other team's going to have it.
But they can also play dirty too.
Of course.
They can take your license,
Yeah,
throw it in the
it's-
garbage, and you can't do anything.
Yeah, the patent's
So
not strong enough to.
Yep.
They can find a loophole for
just
sure. Yeah.
For sure.
And when that's where we were having difficulties trying to figure out, was it something we wanted to license, or did we want to try and bring it as a manufacturer?
Yeah.
That was, challenging.
I'd suggest you might want to find out. I saw a pitch. This is somebody they won at Tech. I mentioned it a few months ago, and it was a doctor. But what they had done is they were interested in diabetes specifically, and of course, it's something that affects the feet greatly. So they had created essentially an insert for shoes, and that took biometric feedback to an app that could also be shared with a doctor. So in other words, there's people that are studying our feet and our shoes, and because they get the size of the space too. From a health condition standpoint, I'm not driving you specifically there, but I think in helping to clarify your story, right now you're a mile wide and an inch deep, right? Right now everybody wears shoes, and wouldn't we all like it if they were more comfortable? That's great, but you're really going to need this segment. So what I'm suggesting is you do a little bit of research around maybe who else is addressing this market as well, and specifically in terms to a channel to market or a channel to some relationships around distribution licensing, looking at somebody else's model, talking to them, maybe even finding a partnership opportunity. Maybe there's somebody out there who's doing something right now that there would be a good medical reason why they would want to look at potentially either fund, partner on, research together with you the specific technology that you're talking about. Because Scott's absolutely right. You try and go up against Nike, and I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to build and license it out and spin that way. That's great. Two things in general, as a guy who judges a lot of these things, I don't want to hear that the only reason you're building your company is to sell it. You didn't say that specifically, but it didn't really sound like you had a plan to build an organization and to create a lot of wealth and a lot of jobs for me potentially if I was an investor, let's say, right? So if you're going to build to sell, that's okay, but I think you should be clear about that. We're going to build this technology, we're going to sell it to Nike, and then here's exactly how we're going to do it. So I think you've got the germ of a lot of good things, but you need to just sort of tie some pieces together and maybe create some clarity around your partnerships and your approach to market.
And what was it, the group that won in Edmonton?
I'm going to have to shoot you an email. I can't remember right now. My brain's buzzing.
I think that buttoning down who your product is being designed for is important, and I think that you've kind of thrown it out there. It's runners and it's running shoes. That is just it's too big and too diverse, and the players are really large in that environment. I think if you think a little bit more about tightening that into a very specific segment of the running market, you might find that you can build a stronger brand identity around your product and enter the running shoe business through that tighter channel and then see it flourish in a larger environment. But don't go after the big running shoe universe perhaps right off the bat, but find a channel in there that is a really specific need in that industry.
I thought it was a really good presentation. I was really engaged, but I find that once Justin, just in the middle of it, started the introduction, it was just way too wordy. I just lost interest, to be completely honest. I don't think that's the best approach. And I don't really see why that would be necessary, because you're using a lot of time in your pitch to explain where you're trying to get at, and that's just irrelevant.
I'll fix that.
Very useful, thank you.
We're trying to be helpful. Garrett.
I just have a couple ideas for thinking forward when you're taking this forward. When you run, you can only generate so much downforce, right, onto the pavement. So as you're doing that, part of that force is actually going to be lost to pressuring the pump itself. So it's actually going to hinder your athletic performance by running. As well, a premise in athletics is to never be flat-footed, right? You always hear that, which means your heel shouldn't be on the floor. So is the pump in the heel the right location for where it should be, or should it be up front where your toes are?
That's a very good point.
For sure. And that's definitely part of our R&D goals, is to where to put the pump. And but the amount of force exerted by the human body on your feet is gigantic. So I don't really think it would be too much of a problem to depress the pump. But yeah, definitely we're looking at whether or not to put it in the wear in the shoe, or whether the entire sole can be the pump itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, that'd be probably more so in the prototype stage, so we can kind of come up with both.
Yeah.
And see which one is more effective.
You guys know this is a big build, right? This is a huge undertaking.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
It's definitely not, I love apps, right, but this is definitely a larger scale than doing an app.
That's why we wanted to license it, because the idea of trying to manufacture it and everything was just too big.
Yeah, unless you got $1 billion laying around.
I don't know what it is.
I said they could think big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely
Right.
done so.
Exactly. You're on the board. Any other questions or comments? Good job, you guys. Okay, you guys ready? Okay, Absolution had their hands up first. And you can go.
It's like getting oxygen. Yeah, you get oxygen. She's working right now.
The range, yeah.
Yeah. I like this class. This is one of the few classes that I can not sit on more than 200
Know about it, look for it, and care for it.
Exactly.
No one will ever come to this. So like I will say a comment for us. You know what I mean? Like anyway. Yeah. Really?